I'm going to help you continue to fill out these element charts because you're going to need them for your writing. So if you have not completed them, then you might want to follow along. So the fiction elements, and we use the dust to dust story, start with moral. So we decided when we looked at this and we read the story that the moral was going to be don't give up hope. That's what the two men on their way to California found. So what I'd like you to do is to fill in this portion right here where you found it, and you can even quote it if you'd like. The next element of fiction that we're going to look at is the theme. So we talked about this when we did this in class, and we decided that one of the themes was to appreciate what you have. The men learned this at the end of the story after they survived the storm at the Dust Bowl. Characters, that was in the beginning of the story. That was Foster and Charles. The setting we decided was a train somewhere in the Midwest. They were on their way to California. You can put on the way to California, in the Midwest, on the way to California. Any of those are fine. The next element is the problem. The problem the two men had was that they were traveling to California to find work. Another problem that they had was that they were confronted with a dust storm. And then they were confronted with whether or not they felt that this was going to make any difference, them traveling all the way to California. The solution to that problem, they decided to continue to go on. And then the point of view of this story was third person. It was third person point of view because the author chose to discuss the two men. He wasn't relaying his own information. He didn't use I in the story. He used the voices of the two men. I'd like to now work with you on the nonfiction elements chart. So if you notice, I have two screens open. I have the chart open, and then I have the qualities of informational nonfiction passages. So the first thing that we're going to add here is facts. And what I'd like you to do is take out your book and find the story. The nonfiction story that we're talking about is Children of the Dust Bowl. And I want you to find some facts for me. So we're going to put facts right here. And then on this side, you're going to select some facts that you think are something that you would use. After facts, we have evidence to support facts. So that's where we're going to go next. And you'll need to look at what your facts are that you chose, and then you're going to need to select the evidence that proves those facts. Okay, main ideas is where I want to go next. I want you to look at the main ideas of each paragraph. When we did this in class, many of us did this together. You will need to read each paragraph and then select a main idea for each paragraph. So over here, you would write paragraph 1. Okay, and then in here, you'll write what the main idea is. And then paragraph 2 and what that main idea is. Paragraph 3, what that main idea is, etc. The next thing is really super important. So the next one is specific organization of non-fictional text. So non-fictional text contains often photographs, charts, graphs. In addition, it's organized by heading, subheading. Oftentimes there's a table of contents. A lot of times there's indexes. So in this particular instance, we don't have indexes because this is a passage. It's not the entire book of Children of the Dust Bowl. If it was, then we would probably have an index, a table of contents, etc. So for this fourth box, we're going to write those things that we do have. So for example, we have a heading, which is the title of the story. On the front page, we also have a picture. We also have an introduction that's at the bottom of the first page. If you turn the page and go to the second page, you have subheadings. So our subheadings and headings look like this. All right, so this right here, oops, I got this one. This right here is a heading. These here are subheadings. This is a subheading. This is a subheading here. Let's see, where's my next one? This is a subheading down here. So you may include all of those in that specific organization. On the front, and you're going to put down page numbers for where this is too. Okay, on the front, you have the title with an actual authentic photograph. And then down below here, you have the introduction to the passage. So all of those things are specific to nonfiction. We also have setting, characters, and that setting is a real place. So you'll put setting, and then you'll tell me where that real place is. And then characters. Okay, the characters are real people. So you're going to indicate over here who those real people are. You're going to do the subheadings. I already explained that to you. We have no index. We have no table of contents. And we do have a photograph. And then you can decide what kind of nonfiction writing this is. Are they trying to persuade you of something? Are they just providing evidence to you? Is it an editorial, which is someone's opinion? So all of that will go in here. Over here on the right-hand side, the facts are the page numbers. The evidence, you'll put page numbers. Main ideas are page numbers and paragraphs. The next one we're going to take a look at is the poetry elements chart. So poetry is something that we haven't done very much of. And so I want to make sure that you understand this. So right here, the first thing that we're going to look at is the number of lines per stanza. As I explained before, a stanza is like a poetry paragraph. So here we're going to write stanza, and then we're going to write how many lines per stanza. So if it had 4 lines, okay, that's a quatrain. So you're going to write that in here. Oops, quatrain, sorry. Quatrain, we're going to write that in here. And then you're going to list the name of the poem here because we did have 3 poems. So the first one was called Dust Bowl. The second one was called The Dust Bowl. And then the third one had something to do with rain. All right, the next thing that we're going to take a look at is what kind of poem this was. So I believe for this one, we decided that it was a lyric poem. Okay, so this is the form, and we decided it was a lyric poem. We also decided that it was descriptive. So we're going to enter both of those in there. And then we went on to talk about rhyme and rhythm. So we decided that in the first poem that there definitely was rhyme. And then we also talked about how if you have rhyme, you have rhythm. It has that sing-songy kind of quality. Okay, so we decided that this one had both rhythm and rhyme. When we got onto the Dust Bowl, the Dust Bowl, that was the next poem that we looked at. That one had 7 lines. So you're going to change this. We're going to go back here. And the 7-line one was a septet. So that's going to go in here. You're going to put the next name of the poem. So it's actually down here. Okay, so here we have septet, which is 7-line stanza. And then the Dust Bowl was the name of this one. All right, so we're going to use that. And then we went back and looked at this and decided what type of poem it was. I believe we decided that this was lyric as well, and that it was also descriptive. This one we decided did have rhyme, but I believe we decided that it wasn't really a rhythmic poem. So you're going to fill all of those in. That will take you down about 3 or 4 lines. And then the next one was the one about the rain. Okay, so rain. And for this one, I believe it had 4 as well. And so that would be a quatrain as well. So we're going to type in quatrain here. I spelled it wrong last time. And then we're going to go on to decide whether it is a lyric poem, a narrative poem, or a descriptive poem. And I think in this case, we also decided that it was a lyric poem and a descriptive poem. And I believe that we decided this one had rhyme, but not necessarily the same degree of rhythm as the first one did. So I believe we decided that you could put rhythm if you wanted to on this one. But we're going to fill out the same thing for each one of these poems. So the names of the poems are going to be over here, and then each one of those elements are going to be on this side, and they go with whatever the name of the poem is. The last one that we're going to go over is the video elements chart. And the video elements chart is going to be filled out exactly the way the other three had been filled out. So the first thing we're going to look at are the characteristics of the video. So did it have a voiceover? Yes, it did. So we're going to write voiceover. And then where did we find this in the video? We found it throughout. So we're going to write throughout the video. The next thing was archival footage. So as discussed, described right here, archival footage is film or pictures that have been gathered over a long period of time. So the archival footage that we had was also throughout the video. And so over here, we're also going to write throughout video. Then we had reenactment. So a reenactment is, as the examples that I gave were in a crime show, for example. You can't really kill somebody if you're talking about a murder mystery. So you have to reenact it and pretend like it's happening. In this particular video, we had no reenactment. Then we're going to talk about direct and indirect interviews. So there weren't really any interviews at all. No one interviewed the people who lived through the Dust Bowl. No one interviewed the people today who had lived through the Dust Bowl or experienced the Dust Bowl. So in this particular video, there also were not any direct or indirect interviews. Montage. Montage is a collection of pictures that go together to make one big picture, for example. This was full of it. This video was full of montage. There were video clips that were archival video or archival footage, and there was also pictures that went along with that. Exposition. Exposition is a beginning, a introduction. So there was an introduction in this, and we're going to include that. And then for introduction, for exposition, you're going to write beginning, because that's the definition of an exposition. Okay, so beginning of film. All right, and then we have actuality. So archival footage and actuality go pretty hand in hand. Actuality means that was it the actual footage or was it the actual pictures that we saw? And yes, these were the actual things that we saw. Nothing was made up. So yes, this was actual video. And then we have, let's see. Oh, that's it. Okay, so that's what's going to go in your video elements chart. So you're going to have to provide the information over here as to what goes where you saw the things in the video, because you're going to need this information to complete your essay.